said, if they do come into that area, after you've given them adequate warning, after we've talked to Putin, you shoot them down. Absolutely. Whatever happens next, we will deal with it. Yeah, that's a tough guy. You know, he's got to sound tough, but the sad part of it is that candidates like Carson, candidates like Carly Fiorina, candidates like Marco Rubio really will push for this because this is what the military-industrial complex wants. In the show, where we're going to be interviewing after Alex Jones comes in, the next segment, we're going to be talking to Joel Skousen, and he's going to break down the long-term plans of the globalists. But I want to end with this last quote here. And, of course, this is from the New York Times, talking about how GOP candidates, and, of course, they don't include Hillary, but Hillary should be included in that. GOP candidates and Hillary are leading the charge in the call for a Syrian no-fly zone. And the New York Times breaks down where the candidates stand. As you can see at the top there, they show those who support a no-fly zone. That's most of the GOP candidates and Hillary. Those who oppose it, O'Malley, Paul, and Sanders. Ted Cruz and Trump, they put down as no position. But they put down some quotes from these people. Let me just read you some of these because they're absolutely insane. Jeb Bush, enforce that no-fly zone. We'll stop the regime's bombing raids that kill helpless children. Totally idiotic. You have to understand what's going on. We need to stand our ground, says Ben Carson, with the airspace. I would establish a no-fly zone along the border with Turkey. And no way would I back off. Chris Christie, my first phone call would be to Vladimir, and I'd say to him, listen, we're enforcing this no-fly zone. Hillary, I personally would be advocating now for a no-fly zone, a humanitarian corridors to try to stop the carnage on the ground and from the air. Yeah, because, you know, when we draw a line in the air and we start shooting jets down left and right, that's a humanitarian cordoning of that area. Then finally, let's end with Marco Rubio. Today, they point out on CNN, Rubio, who has been a proponent of more military spending, spoke about the situation in Turkey on Fox News on Tuesday today, saying that despite concerns about the direction Turkey's been going, the country is still a NATO ally and the U.S. must come to its defense. So here they are, having been wrong and having been provocative, having established and funded ISIS. Now he wants to say, hey, and if anything happens, we can come to the aid of Turkey because they're part of NATO. Let's just have a giant war. Precisely. Stay with us when we come back. We're going to take a detailed look, and we're going to have Alex Jones joining us to look at that TOW missile that shot down the helicopter, and then we'll be talking to Joel Skousen.
You traitors claiming I'm a Ruski agent, say it to my face and I'll break your nose. I'm sick of it. I will stomp your head in the ground, you traitorous maggots. While we go under Obamacare, North American Union, conquered by European banks, announcing our kids don't belong to us, total bondage, total surveillance, and you want to shoot your mouth off about me being a Ruski agent, I will stomp your head in the ground.
Never water yourself down just because someone can't handle you at 100 proof.
I wish we could go back to the days, I'm telling you, of just getting my satisfaction out in the street. Shane Steiner's involvement with InfoWarsLife.com truly happened in an organic way. I went to high school with Shane, his brother, knew his parents well, and he was visiting the office once, hadn't been to the office in years, and said, wow, I notice you're making and selling supplements. Do these really work? Because I've tried a lot of supplements as a workout enthusiast, and I really think most of them are hype. And I said, here, take some home, try it. Well, a few weeks later, he came in blown away and said, I want to buy 3 boxes of this stuff to give my friends and family. It's simply amazing. He said, why does it work so well? And I said, listen, go to InfoWarsLife.com, watch the informational videos with Dr. Group and others. They understand how it all works. I know that it works for me. That's all I understand. The science, the facts, the research, people's testimonials, they're all on InfoWarsLife.com. You can check it out for yourself.
I wanted to go to the gym. I wanted to push myself and work out harder. And that led to me being able to come out and do stuff like the barefooting and the surfing and stuff like that, which I've never done. I never would have done that 2 years ago.
Shane has said over and over again, more than just libido and energy, it made him want to get into the gym more. It made him want to get in better shape. And believe me, the Steiners have amazing genetics. His brother is a world champion steer wrestler. His dad, Bobby Steiner, is a famous world champion bull rider. They've got natural genetics. But when you added this to the mix, in Shane's own words, it took him to the next level. Shane noticed the mental clarity, Bobby was able to work out longer and gain muscle mass. He's already completely shredded. I gotta admit, for me, the biggest effect has been libido. Now, I've never claimed to have a body like some beach model, but back when I was 20, 22 years old and worked out every day, I looked great. But over the years, and being married, having 3 kids, and working 18 hours a day, I gained basically 100 pounds. And it's been a long process losing that weight in the last 4 years. But if you look at the photos and the videos of what I looked like 4 or 5 years ago versus today, the results are dramatic. I'd already cleaned up my diet. I was working out hard, but I'd only lost about 20 pounds. It was adding the other key ingredients from InfoWarsLife.com that helped me personally go to the next level and shed another 35 pounds.
This has actually made me feel so good that here lately, about a year ago, I started training jiu-jitsu, and that kind of led to doing some boxing and kickboxing. I mean, it's amazing that 2 years ago, I was on the couch and couldn't even tie my shoes, and now I'm training with MMA fighters and just doing stuff that I never thought that I would be doing ever again. So Super Male Vitality has allowed me to do some amazing things, and if it has those kind of effects for me, I know that it will do great things for you. So just try Super Male Vitality. I promise you, you'll love it.
And finally, let's look at Anthony Gucciardi, InfoWars.com reporter. He also works with Dr. Group and others, helping develop the newest, most cutting-edge, high-quality supplements. Let's take a look at what happened when he tried to barefoot ski for the first time with the Steiners. And remember, we're not making fun of him. He had the will to get in the arena, and he's lost more than 10 pounds in the last few years of fat and gained more than 10 pounds of muscle. And Anthony chalks it up to Super Male Vitality as well. Bottom line, folks, you want to discover the power of Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality for yourself by visiting InfoWarsLife.com today or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله الله أكبر الله أكبر والله الحمد احتراق طائرة.
There you go. That's footage of our moderate rebel allies shooting a search and rescue helicopter, trying to help the pilots there. When CNN shows this, they show the helicopters searching around, but they don't show it being shot. We're going to show you, as we just did, them being shot, and we even will show you down to the serial and model number that is on this. That's what we're seeing on this footage, Alex.
It's just crazy. Turkey has been running the main war with ISIS. Wesley Clark will play a clip in a little while. It was on CNN earlier today. I'm just walking through the office. It's on. He's admitting it. So I saw it on screen. And then I turned it on, and there he was saying it, and I backed it up and saved it.
General, are you suggesting that Vladimir Putin had a point then when he suggested that Turkey, in a way, was aiding ISIS?
Well, all along, there's always been the idea that Turkey was supporting ISIS in some way. We know they've funneled people going through Turkey to ISIS. Someone's buying that oil that ISIS is selling. It's going through somewhere. It looks to me like it's probably going through Turkey.
It's just crazy. So ISIS for 5 years under the name al-Nusra, al-Qaeda, are the moderate rebels, and then they're attacking, and then you've got a U.S.-made TOW missile with them putting it together. They just killed the pilots. They had shot the pilot and the bombardier, the navigator as they're called, as they parachute down. There's footage of that. And they get to the ground, then they go stage them out in the field, 1.5 miles on the Syrian side where the plane crashed. Near there. The helicopters come, they land to get the dead bodies, and they blow it up with a U.S.-made anti-tank missile. There's so many angles to this. And by the way, the mainstream media admits U.S.-made TOW missile because they even show the serial number, a traversing unit guided missile launcher, M83, pound 208520. And that takes us back to Benghazi. Thousands of surface-to-air missiles, thousands of ground-to-ground anti-tank missiles, U.S.-made, French-made, German-made, that were in caches Gaddafi had, that was given to the al-Qaeda forces that ran that attack in Benghazi. They had signs on TV saying, Syria, you're next. They then jihadied on out of North Africa, into the Middle East, into Iraq, and then infiltrated right in to Syria, breaking the country in two. And Turkey's on record with their artillery, attacking, helping bring in the rebels, helping bring in the forces from the Turkish side, not just the Iraq side. And then the Russians have been flying to the edge of their airspace because they've got to get reconnaissance on where the terrorists are coming in. And then they're there shooting down their aircraft. But that's the big red herring. Okay, the aircraft you can debate back and forth, and CNN's like, and guess what? Turkey's so mad after they've been wronged, killing the Russians, flipping reality, that they're going to complain to the Security Council, and Russia's in big trouble. There's a lot of outrage on CNN and Fox right now about the horrible Russians. But that's not the issue. You cannot debate that they're a mile and a half away with a TOW missile in Turkey, admittedly, shooting across as they do every day, where they can't be shot back yet, or the Turks will call it war, when they're Turkish armed, Turkish controlled, US armed, shooting over here, blowing up the search and rescue helicopter. And Russia, I'm sorry, is not good at propaganda.
Yeah.
And all propaganda means is information promoting your ideal. I'm Second Amendment promoter. That's propaganda. It's not a dirty word. Russia isn't even talking about this helicopter. The issue is, here are terrorists on the Turkish side of the border blowing up the helicopter with a U.S.-made weapon. And as Putin did properly point out in a speech he gave, saying we've been stabbed in the back by people that are associates of the terrorist or who are abetting the terrorist.
Отсюда и большая денежная подпитка бандформирования.
And certainly these military groups get their financing from. And now they stab us in the back, they hit our planes that are fighting terrorism.
Yes.
He did say
accomplices. And that was a great move, I thought. That pointed out exactly what's going on here. People can see that these are terrorists. I mean, they're shooting people who are parachuting out of a plane, no longer combatants, and under rules of war, you wouldn't do that. Then shooting up a search and rescue helicopter to help them. Just as we saw in Kunduz in Afghanistan, we had U.S. forces attack a hospital for a half hour.
Yes.
Machine gunning and targeting doctors as they're running out of the hospital.
That's right. And then Putin goes further in that little short clip that you played earlier, and he says, look, Turkey, you've bought $800 million worth of oil on record.
Yes.
So everybody wants to act like the whole world isn't ganging up on Syria. And then Russia is, quite frankly, on the side of right, going in to defend against what's happening. We hear all this talk about Assad's used terrorist tactics. Look, a lot of bad stuff happens in war. I'm not defending everything Assad's done, but he's pretty darn good in that region. Okay, even better than like a Hosni Mubarak, who was our ally, who we overthrew, to put the jihadis in. But Syria didn't attack anybody. They were democratizing. The West has been doing this for 5 years. They started the fight. So under common sense, common law, when you attack first for no reason, you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
If I get dirty in the fight to survive, I'm not judged at the same standard because I didn't initiate the response.
Yes.
And so this is escalating. It's why we're making a big deal about it. We kept saying if a plane gets shot down, if U.S. troops get killed or are being used as human shields that have been put in there to help the jihadis, it's going to escalate. And now Russia says they plan to have major responses to this. David, other points?
Well, of course, you're talking about Syria and Assad not being a good guy, but he wasn't invading anybody like our close ally Saudi Arabia invaded Yemen. Okay, they're invading Yemen. Nobody is talking about that in the Western press. It's absolutely
since
amazing.
When is invading people that haven't done something to you a serious hardcore tyranny?
Yeah. And of course, they cut off the heads of more people in their own country for various crimes than ISIS has decapitated people. I mean, that's our close ally that's running this.
The Saudi Arabian regime are the villains.
I think it's also important to look at these people who were shouting Allah Akbar, taking the photographs of the the pilot who was dead. These are Syrian Turkmen. Now, those are people who supposedly are of Turkish origin that have been living in Syria for quite some time. But they could very easily be Turkish agents who are coming in here. We need to understand that Turkey has got a lot of dogs in this fight. They want to go after the Kurds that are on their southern border, and you can see ISIS just moving in from Turkey. It looks like an invasion force that is proceeding straight out of Turkey, Alex.
It is. That's the CFR 2 years ago said why we need Al-Qaeda. The whole thing's admitted. It's just the public is not academic enough or informed enough They're so ignorant that they don't even know the players.